Alright guys, got a kind of crappy video for you guys. Let me explain kind of what I had going on and why my car is just broken now out of the blue. So I was running errands the other day. Everything was fine, car ran fine, no check engine light. I've fixed all the issues I've had with this Expedition. It's my daily driver. So like I said, I was running errands, got back to the shop, worked for a few hours, went to go grab a drink from the gas station and turned the key over, and the car like tried to fire but sputtered and shut off really quick. Like sometimes, you know, if you put the key in and you like flip it over too quick and you don't hold it for long enough, sometimes it'll not start all the way. I figured that's what had happened, so I kicked the key back over, went to start it again, and it just cranked and cranked and cranked and cranked. So yeah, I don't know what happened, why it happened. All I know is now, ever since I've tried to start the car, this is oh, see how it tried to kick over there at the beginning? It's because it had a little bit of fuel in it for a second. But mainly that's all I get is just crank and crank and crank and crank and crank. So, like I said, no check engine light, anything like that before I stopped. So now on to trying to figure out what happened, how to fix it. So I grabbed my multimeter, plugged it in, and this is what I had for a pending code, a P0231, fuel pump secondary circuit low. No idea what that means. So about all I can do is Google it. And in my Google searches, basically it says that either the fuel pump went bad, or inside of here is the fuel pump relay. Right down there, that's passenger floorboard, is the fuel pump relay, which, lucky for me, is built into the whole fuse block, which means it's not replaceable. The only way to fix it is to replace the entire fuse box that's there. So now let's look at how I diagnosed the problem to determine whether it was the relay or the fuel pump, because as far as I could tell, that's all it could be. So from what I read, when you turn the key on to the ignition, the fuel pump, power to the fuel pump should kick on for about 2 seconds. I'm assuming you probably can't hear anything. You hear the click from the relay, which is what we want, but then the fuel pump is not coming on. So if you look up in there, I've already got it unplugged. Where that blue outlining is, this plug goes there. 2 of the wires are go to the fuel pump. I don't know what the other 2 do. Basically, the only wire we care about is this green and yellow one. It's what sends power back to, first off, the inertia switch, which is what stops your fuel pump from working if you're in a crash. That basically creates enough G's to shut that off. So first thing I did was reset that, make sure that didn't work. That didn't do anything. So then there were a couple of other ways to test, and that was to have this plugged in, and when we turn the key on, the ignition on, to check the voltage on this green and yellow wire and see if it got 12 volts. Well, it was a very difficult thing for me to do by myself because I don't have that much OEM type electrical diagnosing stuff. Or more of a fabrication shop, so about all I have is that OBD2 thing you saw, which is the basic of the most basic, and a basic multimeter, which is kind of enough to figure it out. But it's very difficult for me to hold the thing into the back of there while have it grounded to something and be able to see it and kick the key over and look at it within 2 seconds. So I was trying to figure out another way. Oh, and also that 15 amp fuse, that blue 15 amp fuse right above my thumb there, the one on the right, that's the fuse for the fuel pump. So I checked that also first. So then, doing a bit more watching and reading, I figured out that probably the easiest way to determine which of the two it is to just connect power from my battery to this green and yellow plug right here, and then turn the car over, see if it starts. So that's what I'm going to do now, and if it starts, to me that tells me that the fuel pump's good, obviously, and then that relay thing is bad. Hopefully my logic is sound enough with that, but let's give it a try, see what happens. All right, so here's what I basically came up with real quick. I had this piece of wire, it's solid 10 gauge wire. I'm not sure where I got it, but so I had this alligator clip, put that on one side. It's kind of hard to tell, but I basically sanded this end down to look like an electrical blade to plug it into the clip. So as you can see, it's a few feet long, so hopefully that's going to go from my plug to the positive of my battery. So here we go. All right, so I opted to try and put this piece in first. Well, I don't know if I got a shot of it, so, but there you can see it's plugged in. Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. All right, so we're hooking this up to the positive of the battery. And now we got to hope and pray we don't touch this on any part of the car that's gonna be aground. I'm going to attempt to plug this in here. Hopefully you don't turn off. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but now I just heard the fuel pump kick on. So let's see if it'll start. Okay, so the fuel pump works. It's running just fine, plugged in like that. So yeah, now as far as I'm aware, that means that fuse block, well, the circuit breaker for the fuel pump, the relay for the fuel pump is bad, which is built into that stupid fuse block, which means I'm going to the junkyard to pick one out because I'm not paying $300 for a new one. So yeah, I'll do a video when I uninstall and install that, but yeah, that's how to diagnose when your car just decides to die on you one day after you park it, and she just cranks and cranks and cranks.